Yo, what is going on, nerds? I'm back with a banger. Listen, we're doing something very different today. We're going to head over to the courtroom. The idea is we're going to basically just watch a court hearing. There's Lemon. But yeah, we're just going to chill out. We're going to sit there. We're going to listen to what's going on. It might be a bit of a different video for a lot of people today. So listen, it's probably going to be a long one. So if you are new, thank you for joining me. Obviously, if you're one of them guys what like the crazy stuff, this is probably not for you. But listen, guys, if you guys enjoy, stay tuned. Let's crack on. Doop-de-doo. Doo. Doop-de-doo. Doop-de-doo. Doop-doop. Doo-doo-doo.
Yo, stop, man.
Hey.
What?
You have to be searched.
Ah!
Elite.
That door don't open. I've got some knuckle dusters. You can have them.
No, I need to search you as well, man. It doesn't
Yeah,
work
yeah.
like that.
There you go. Search me. Can I have your dog? I want the dog. Jason.
No, man.
Jason, I've got nothing on me.
I'm checking. I'm making sure for everything, man.
I've got these. I'm gonna keep them. I'm taking the dog.
No.
No,
Touch
you-
it, no.
hey,
Drop
Elite.
it.
The dog's mine! I have a dog!
No, oi, drop that
Fuck you, Jason, it's my dog! It's my dog! Oh shit, I've locked... Jason, I need to unlock my car! It's my dog, Jason! Okay, I'm bringing the dog back. The dog's going back. I'm taking the dog back. I'm sorry. I'm taking it back. Jason, I'm taking it back. Don't tase me. It's going back. I'm putting it back. It was just a joke. See, it was just a test, and you
No,
passed. Dude,
Oh, word
is
now.
it open now?
No, stop. Yeah.
Not just yet.
No?
Oi,
Yeah?
Come here.
No.
Oi, you.
I'm
come
very
here.
confused.
Come here, you.
Yeah?
We're not open
Not
just
you.
yet.
Yeah?
Search you as well.
It starts in 40
done?
minutes. It opens in
30.
25.
Okay.
The doors open
Can I go in
15
here?
minutes before the case starts. Yeah,
Ooh.
so no.
Elite, come on now.
Hey, you got games on your phone?
Yeah, man. Come back in 15
That's
minutes,
a
yeah.
computer, you idiot.
I'm gonna stay here for 50 minutes.
It's Josephus.
Oh my god.
What the fuck's Toggle doing here?
Is that who I think it is?
Yeah, it's Chloe.
No, not you. You are just very smart today, I must say.
You better back off before I curb stomp your face.
I'm being... Hey, officer, he just,
That is
threatening.
not
a threat.
appropriate pants.
a threat.
Yeah, exactly.
This
Not.
is correct.
Look at her foot. Oh, just to back up. Hey, stop. Anyway, what do I do exactly? Do I just sit there and listen in? I am leaving my car there. Like that man there in that Chinese car's illegally
You'll
parked.
be watching the court case with all the other people who will watch it. Basically, you'd be quiet the entire time.
What if I have to sneeze?
Yeah. What about if I got a cough?
Yeah.
If you must cough, do it quietly. If you cannot do it quietly, excuse yourself. Leave the room.
What if somebody
If
is
you
wearing too
cannot
much like
cough quietly,
cologne, I have to
excuse
throw up?
yourself, leave the room, and then come back when you're done.
So
Okay.
stand up
Do you
and
have to
say,
stand up
"Excuse
and
me?"
yeah? Say,
Can I bring my
"Excuse me."
PlayStation with me?
I gotta control
Basically,
this
hey,
man.
I've got a 3-year-old child I need to bring with me. Is that okay? But it might cry sometimes.
Oh, fuck.
Are you good, sir?
I'm a jury.
No, but yeah, no. It doesn't matter, man. Stay there and shush. Okay, right. Let me just
Yeah,
quickly
I'm
search
returning to my vehicle one more time to
Gentlemen of
get
the
my,
client, yeah, you
that's
see
fine.
your
my
jury.
briefcase.
it. Right.
I've got nothing on me.
No, hold on. I never said you
Well, that's
Why
your
is this
name,
dog
by the
sniffing
way.
me? It's French McFrenchness.
Why is that guy naked? Don't we have like a dress code or something?
I'm just gonna give you a quick little pat down here.
Yeah, mate.
Knuckle dusters.
I'm keeping them.
Take
They're
those
not
off,
illegal.
yeah?
I want them back. I want them
We'll get
back.
them back when the session is over.
Session? It's not fucking yoga. This dog's
You
smelling
know
me.
what I mean.
Just saying anything you have on you. Just
Public decency, so...
Okay, all good to go, man.
Can I go in now?
now
I'm getting
you're all
brutalised
golden.
by a dog and Lotus.
Yeah, you good to go. You've got nothing to go on you, man.
I'm a jury.
Yeah, okay.
Where do I sit? I want to sit over here.
I know, I don't know about you, but
Hi,
I
guys.
love
Elite, I
them.
don't think you can sit up here, big man.
I'll sit up here.
I feel they're like a line.
Oh wait, no.
That'd be good.
Look where Elite is.
They've also made those, you know, the rocket
Just let it
ice
slide.
Yeah.
the
Hey,
fabs. They've made
Sergeant.
them into cocktails too.
Nice.
It's like an ice lolly cocktail set.
Yeah.
Like a slush
Yes.
puppy thing.
Yeah,
Can you
literally
get me
looks
one?
like it.
Elite, can you get me one?
I'll have
No,
to show
fuck
you
off, get your own.
I'll email you a photo.
Thanks. I'm gonna be
Hi,
doing
Jason.
that later.
Jason? Jason?
You're welcome.
You're gonna get some proper clothing, man. You can come back.
What do you mean proper clothing? I have got proper clothing on.
Get a suit, man.
You mother
But you
fucker.
guys are
Get a
so-
suit. You're getting a suit, man.
I have a suit.
Get a
Where's
proper
my
suit.
Mustang gone?
Hold a knife on the...
Jason! Jason, I'm back! Jason!
So can't get power to. We need to
I'm
assign a
back.
police escort to the defendant because he's out there doing his own
I
thing
am
by himself.
clean
Nobody's
and I
watching
look
him.
good.
Who is the defendant?
Okay, I'll see you
Defendant
later,
pulled a
guys.
fucking knife on me when I was in the parking lot.
A part of the jury.
I am. What? Yeah?
No, come here.
I'm part of the jury.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Why am I not?
Because you're not. You know,
What?
you haven't been selected for the jury.
I what? I put my name down.
You didn't put your name down, so I would
The
have
ju-
called you.
Mr.
Get out.
Oh my
speaking loud,
god.
please. Thank
what
you.
the fuck is that? Hey, I was part of the jury. I put my name down.
Jesus fucking
I
Christ.
put my name down. My name was down.
You are not the
I
jury.
have the
Do you got
receipt.
trousers on, or is it just spray paint?
What the fuck is wrong with this dog?
Sorry, you're not allowed in the jury. Will you
That's
please
new
exit the room?
Why do I not?
Because the jury's 5 members, not 6.
Very
No,
tight
I
trousers.
put my name down, mister.
Well, it doesn't mean you'll be selected.
I don't care. Out,
No!
Out, man.
I'm coming with you then. Help, Lemon, they're taking me!
No, you're out. You're going out, man.
I'm just applying for my bar license. I'm on Lemon's team.
I don't care.
Ask Lemon.
Hey, Ellie,
Yes?
just temporarily please step outside. I'm trying to deal with something, and then I'll think about it.
Okay. Fuck you. I'm going on my own well-being. No, I'm doing this my way.
It's my way or the highway, man. I don't care.
Done any training.
Lemon.
For fuck's...
Lemon. Lemon.
Yeah?
Lemon, they put me outside. Tell them I'm on your team.
Hold on, I'm busy. Oh.
Oh,
Right, I've spoken with Mr. Wolfenstein.
yep.
He's happy to have you on his legal counsel. However, you have to remain in silence, and you're not allowed to have any legal input.
Okay, I'm a captain.
All right, you're gonna sit. You can sit in on his team.
Lemon. Oh, fuck.
I'm still searching him, Sergeant, man.
Oh, you searched me. Sorry. You searched me again.
I'm searching you again. I'm gonna keep searching you.
Okay, by all means.
They're terrible, aren't they?
I have nothing on me though. I'll do a little spin for you. Is that better?
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Nothing. Right. Oh, good, man. I'll just need to search you.
Lemon,
Hello?
I'm on your team. We're gonna be on television.
This is... You know those cameras don't even work.
It's like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard all over again.
Cleaner on Alpha.
What's,
Right, I
what's,
need
what's the judge's name? He's struggling to get in chair. Is he alright?
I don't know his name. I think it's Steve.
You
Will.
have to tell him over open Twitter.
He's very angry.
I need...
The
Has anyone
judge's
got to
I
set
will
this
beat
number?
the living shit out. I'm
The
sorry.
judge said you can email him too if he wants.
I don't want to
Yeah, I
email
did, but
judge.
he's not responded to that.
Lemon. I've got no legal action whatsoever, but I'm here to stand with you. So I'm gonna go sit down. Is it the left one or the right one?
Potato look
Okay, I'm going on the games.
Yeah, Harry the potato.
Hey, Judge, what's your name?
Elite's not.
Your mom.
Hey, Judge.
No, he's here. No.
I got one of your meals from earlier on, but the officer took it off me.
Who? State?
Is he actually a lawyer?
Joseph.
Yeah, I am.
Which team though? Like state or?
I don't know. Lemon's team.
You don't know.
Defense.
He doesn't know.
Hey, this is...
Who are you defending?
Hey, Lee, I must say this
Lemon.
is very comfortable.
Lemon's not in.
If you can have
Doctor.
your phone in the courtroom, please put it on silent.
Yeah, it is on silent. Not a problem,
Not
officer.
complying.
Right. Okay.
Lemon.
Lemon.
Yeah?
Lemon. The man with the comb over is asking for you.
Yeah, no, I'm just coming in again. I've just gone outside to try and find my
Oh, I
client.
can
I'm
see
here.
you. Are you there? Sit down.
So I've just gone to find my client. He's in his emails. I've emailed him. He claims that they never hit him with the taser.
Right, it doesn't matter. I'm still asking, can he be here?
You want me to go get him?
Instead of running, because you know that is automatically, that means the state's arguments are correct. Automatically they won. You understand this?
Your Honor, we've
A
talked
separate
about
case,
previous cases.
right, but your client is refusing to be present in court. So he's running away
Well,
from the police.
Previously it was agreed on that he wouldn't have to be here.
Hey, do you want me to go hunt him down for you?
You told me that your client couldn't be here. He is running away from the police department. You're telling me he's sick.
I mean, my client feels like he's being attacked by the police
Which
department.
one is the
Right,
defendant?
well, tell your
Is that
client
the
to show up.
defendant?
I'm gonna say one more time, sir. Could you please go back to the back, please?
I'm asking what the defendant table is.
You're not to pass that brown bar there. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Riley, correct? You're the witness, I believe.
Yes, I am,
Could you
sir.
please go to the stands in the back?
don't
I'll
know,
pull
what
you
am
up
I?
when needed.
Am I a defendant or
Of
what?
course.
Okay, where do I sit?
Judge, would you like me to go hunt him down for you and see if I can get him here?
I mean, if you want to go outside, see if he's there, because if you're part of the defense's part,
Yeah.
you probably want your client to be here.
Listen,
and I'm
you
not gonna lie.
bastard, where are you?
Where are you taking me?
You need
I've got 2 minutes to get him. Hello?
What's good, man?
You alright?
Yeah, man.
Since your client wishes to defend his charges, the monetary value will be removed immediately from his account. There won't be any demands of 30-day payment. It will be immediate removal of the funds demanded by the state.
That's if he, so...
If he doesn't show up.
So
if he shows
he
up,
automatically...
there will be he'll have a certain amount of time to pay it, but it's fine. Your client has refused to show up.
He hasn't showed up.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay, so we'll be proceeding without him present. The jury, I'd like you to take note that the defense's client is not present and refuses to present himself. We'll proceed. The defense will defend his case regardless. Again, I've already given you your tasks during this court case and how we're going to be proceeding. So, welcome everybody to the courtroom. I am Judge Joe Murphy. Today we are in the trial for Mr. Giuseppe Krakowski, who is being charged with multiple crimes as a police officer that the prosecution will bring up during their opening statement. We're going to start now with defense's opening statement for 5 minutes, explaining who is Giuseppe Krakowski and why they wish to defend against his sentences by the state. You may start, Mr. Wolfenstein. And remember, you're addressing the jury.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
You may
My
come
name
to the
is
middle,
Harry.
by the way, Mr. Wolfenstein. You may stand and...
Got it,
Thank
Wolf.
You. Be loud as well while you're speaking. And you may stand between both tables so everyone can hear you.
So, is everyone able to hear me?
Yep.
Are you able to hear me back
anyone
there?
will be talking.
Yeah. Alrighty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Harry Wolfenstein. I'm going to be defending my client, Giuseppe Krakowski, today. I first off would like to apologize about the series of events leading up to this court case today, and also to the delay of this court case taking place. My client is he is a troubled man. He's a man with very few talents. Growing up, he didn't have much of an education, much of a family. He always grew up in a pressured household. He really did suffer. But there is one thing my client does do. My client is a man who really does admit his wrongdoings. But as of recently, he also has a strong belief that he's been wrongly accused of several crimes. My client is a businessman, owner of the Grove Street Ltd, owner of multiple family food outlets, and also a member of the Los Santos Police Department. He's a man here who believes that the state is here to make an example out of him. A man who he believes is being made to hold the guilt of several crimes he did not commit. And a man who, at the end of the day, will show his true self and prove his many innocent doings, but also will come clean on his wrongdoings. He's a man who protects his right to defend his good and defend himself when the government sitting here before you refuses to do so. So as we proceed through the statements made here today by both the defense and prosecution, I want you to take a good long look at the wider array of statements being made and the facts that are given to you. The police department's way of twisting around information and drawing finite facts that just aren't visible to the naked eye is quite outstanding. And quite honestly, sometimes made up. I hope you take all of this into account and his previous life while you make your decisions later on today. Thank you to the jury. Have a good day.
What the?
Alright, well, the police will be dealing with that. Mr. Wolfenstein, you do understand you have 2 minutes left?
I am a quick reader.
Oh my god.
Right, prosecution, you may proceed with your opening arguments. You have 5 minutes. Starting now.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure everything's quieted down. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, of the gallery, thank you for joining us today. Today is an important landmark in our history for criminal justice. For you today, we're going to be trying a man accused of abusing his power for his own personal gain. In his wake, he has endangered the lives of countless citizens, introduced dangerous drugs and illegal firearms into the streets of our safe communities, and has discredited the work that our honest police force conducts on a daily basis. Every police officer operates under a code of ethics. This code is recited to them numerous times throughout their training, and they personally speak it themselves during their graduation from the academy. The officer we're looking at today took a sworn oath to protect the citizens of the city, and yet his actions, as you will see, contradict this oath. I will read a portion of this oath to you now to get a better understanding of what he signed up for and what he chooses to neglect. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, and to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights to all, to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, and will behave in a manner that does not bring discredit to me or my agency. I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule, and develop self-restraint, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. I will be honest in thought and in deed in my personal and official life, and I will be exemplary in obeying the law and regulations of my department. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. I will never engage in acts of corruption or bribery, nor will I condone such acts by other police officers. So yes, we will see the type of person that Giuseppe is, and all his goods and all his bads. But the actions that he has taken in the last year have made it clear that during his final months of employment, he has failed to live up to the standards set forth by this code of ethics and the oath he swore to protect this city. His deliberate indifference and acts of corruption have led to numerous people being deprived of their constitutional rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The police force is a beacon of hope and a symbol of security and safety for many people, and his actions have tarnished this image. I'll ask the jury today to take into consideration the crimes committed by this man, but also to objectively look at the truths as they are laid out before you. The investigation process is thorough and secure. Everything that you will see today is not an exaggeration or an embellishment. You'll take it as it is, and you will interpret it on your own, regardless of any prejudices or biases or preconceived notions that you may have brought into the courtroom with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, prosecution. Right, we're going to be starting... All right, give me a second. We are going to be going over the evidence from both parties. These will be sent to you. I will forward them to each and one of you in a second. Let me just get that sorted real quick. Now.
Understood. Thank you. I would advise that anybody in the jury, if you are using this information or sharing this with other people, just to not share the documents that have been provided to you.
These documents are going to be provided to the jury during the case. They will not be using these documents for any other moment. This is
Understood.
Common knowledge for the court.
I would just some personal details attached to them that I would not like getting out. But we'll begin with case number 46. Case number 46. The primary charge is drugs with intent to supply. If you'll flip to the evidence logs, you'll see that there are 15 boxes that were recovered from Giuseppe Krukowski's store. Giuseppe Krukowski owns the LTD on Grove Street, and he confessed to me himself that he owns the property and will do anything in his power to defend it should it come under attack or be robbed or anything like that. The evidence logs show that 15 boxes of cocaine were recovered from the scene, as well as 4 small baggies. All the information on this case led to a raid on Grove Street, and it is believed that Giuseppe used his knowledge that he gained from the police department during his tenure as a police officer to prepare himself for the raid and eventually avoid arrest. If you'll flip to warrant number 3, attempted vehicular murder and interfering with police arrest. After I finish summarizing this case, I will give the defense time to counteract these before I move forward with the rest of my evidence.
He may counteract these whenever he wishes if any of your arguments are objectable.
I will counteract these when I do my defense claim later on.
That's fine. If you object, though, against any arguments he's currently making, you are allowed to do so, Mr. Wolfenstein.
Will do.
Everybody flips to page number 3, attempted vehicular murder and interfering with a police arrest. We have a couple of files here. One is a warrant written by Officer Griff Griffin. The other is an MP4 file. It's body-worn camera footage provided to us by Officer Griff Griffin from the day of the incident, and a narrative describing each incidents and breaking down frame by frame what happened in the body cam footage. I'll give everybody in the jury and the defense time now to view this video. It's around 2.5 minutes long, I believe.
Just do know this time will be used on your time to go for the evidence. Your 20 minutes, it's being used.
Understood. I believe actions speak louder than words.
Because someone blew up a bunch of PD cars and cars and then towed their car.
What do you mean, come here?
Come here, man, if you want to go for a pee.
Okay. Yeah, wait, in here.
Go in there, man.
This, I can't pee in here.
Just pee in a bucket.
Ain't no bucket. Oh, there's a plant pot. I'll pee in the plant pot.
Remind the jury to either stand up or put your hands in the air when you have finished doing the video so I know when to proceed.
Yeah. Search me again.
No, you couldn't.
I went outside. Do your job, Jason. Search me. Search me, Jason.
Understood.
Somebody just searched them already. Get it over with.
It's a quick summary of it.
I have nothing.
Go on, man.
Yeah.
That was one quick search, guys.
I won't spend too long on it.
No worries.
Did you order it?
I ordered it, but I can't collect it. There's a lot of police outside with ARs.
Oh, that's not good.
Really not good. It's scary, actually.
Oh, no.
Really bad. No wonder he don't want to show up at court.
Is that what he's doing?
No idea what he's doing.
Jury, have you finished watching the video?
It's not good.
Not good.
30 seconds left for me.
Okay. We'll wait another 30 seconds.
But like, 5 guys outside with ARs, then a sniper on roof.
We'll just wait 30 more seconds and then we'll proceed.
They're trying to assassinate him.
Say something.
They're trying to assassinate him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've got no legal standpoint, but I believe in you. You've got this.
And for Mr. Murphy, how much time do I have left? Just
You
checking.
have 12 minutes left exactly.
Wonderful. All right, so to go over the evidence that we saw in the video, we saw multiple appearances made by Mr. Krukowski caught on video, and whenever addressed as such by the officer, Griff Griffin, he responded without hesitation. We matched his face to known reference photos of Giuseppe Krukowski, and we proved that it was him. Multiple times in the video, Giuseppe reappears brandishing a weapon or driving recklessly with the intent to damage the other suspect's vehicle in the pursuit. He's attempting to take matters into his own hands with the arrest, and he's verbally warned multiple times. The pursuit ends with Giuseppe's car disabling the vehicle in question, and then he brandishes a gun and begins firing upon the suspect as he's going to be arrested by the police. He then he then returns to a car and avoids arrest. There's a full breakdown and timeline of the video attached to this case. I'm going to move on to a homicide case involving Giuseppe Krukowski, and that will be the majority of it. I will save another thing for my cross-examination of the key witness. If we move on to case 59, murder, aiding and abetting, and kidnapping, and go to the narrative form on the bottom row of the page. Began back when Mission Row Police Department was still operational. A 911 call was placed, reporting a deceased individual in Legion Square. The body that was found there by Officer Scythe and Officer Ogrande was observed to have had severe third-degree burns covering the entire body. The crime scene was secured and evidence collection began. Part of this evidence collection entailed getting CCTV footage from the banks and other businesses across the street, and the video showed 3 men. It shows them taking the man hostage, and then the hostage was shot in the head and killed by one of the suspects that took the victim hostage. All 3 men then proceeded to pour gasoline over the body and light it on fire before fleeing the scene. After this footage was recovered, it was run through facial recognition software, and 3 suspects were identified at the scene: Giuseppe Krukowski, Miles Dalton, and Max Bailey. It was not known which suspect pulled the trigger to kill the suspect. However, all 3 of them did pour gasoline over it and take turns lighting the body on fire before fleeing the scene. Another 911 call was placed on January 25th, 2022. 2 men who were identified as Giuseppe and Miles were seen kidnapping a single male from Legion Square. They were holding a gun to the head of the victim and forced him to get into a car where the window tint was too dark to make out the inside. A 1080 was initiated and the vehicular pursuit ended after the suspects escaped. Later that day, the 2 officers arrived at a warehouse in the industrial park and found a heavily injured man. The man identified himself as Jake Lopez, and it matched the description of the man who was observed being kidnapped by Miles and Giuseppe earlier that day. Jake made a witness statement describing the appearance of his kidnappers. They were wearing purple pants, a white t-shirt, a baseball cap, and had baseball bats slung across their backs and a purple baseball cap. The warehouse was secured as a crime scene and evidence collection begun. Upon searching the scene, they found 2 latent fingerprints and a single strand of hair at the scene. Further evidence examination determined that the hair strand recovered from the scene of the warehouse where the victim was found, heavily beaten, belonged to Giuseppe Krukowski through positive DNA analysis at a third-party crime lab not affiliated with the police department. They were later arrested together at their home addresses on Grove Street without incident, and they were booked by Detective Shadow Scythe. They refused to answer any questions or comply with the police investigation and were sent to jail, and the case was marked closed. Attached to this case, you'll see various search warrants for the warehouses, the bodies, 911 call transcripts, and the autopsy report showing how the victim died. Last piece of evidence that I want to discuss right now before my time runs out is the murder of 2 reporters who work at the Redline Insider. You'll see a body-worn camera video. I will not present it in court. It essentially shows 2 reporters who worked at the Redline Insider doing an undercover investigation into the arms deals at Grove Street. They captured an individual wearing a white shirt and a purple baseball cap who was known to be affiliated with a gang at the time, conducting an arms deal in broad daylight. When it became known to the arms dealer that this interaction was captured on video, multiple attempts were made to recover the footage and prevent it from being leaked to the public. After the reporters successfully escaped Grove Street, they arrived at home and began uploading this to their employer. However, 2 people showed up at their home and gunned them down inside of their house. And on Twitter afterwards, which you can see screenshots of the tweets before they were taken down, you can see Giuseppe Krakowski and Connor Maxwell and seemingly admit that they were the ones who committed the murder. You'll see of their 2 reporters. That is all I have at this time. I will take my seat and I will not use the rest of my time.
Okay, perfect. You have 5 minutes left anyway. I'll be noting that time is not used. Right, give me a minute, Mr. Wolfenstein. I'm just noting down questions for after both parties have finished their closing statements from prosecution. If your defensive arguments regards to this evidence, you have 20 minutes to do so. Any shape or form you'd like. Prosecution, you may object to anything Mr. Wolfenstein says if you deem so necessary. And then I'll deem if it's valid or not. You will be addressing the jury during this 20 minutes and defending your arguments for Joseph Ikriki. Do you understand?
I do understand.
You may start now.
Jury, do you all hear me?
Yeah.
Brilliant. If on the drive, are you able to access case 46 for me? What we're going to do here is we're going to take it case by case and charge by charge. Some charges here I will be talking you through and explaining my client's side of the story. So if you can open up case 46 and let me know when you're there.
Yep.
Brilliant. I want you to take a quick look at the narrative. While you're having a look at that, I'm going to take my time to read a quick statement on it. Me and my client, Mr. Krakowski, believe that there's insufficient evidence for any of the warrants, charges being placed on my client due to case 46. These charges are drug with intent to supply, Class A times 15, and evading arrest. My client is a hard-working man and has found it shocking that such accusations have been coming forth from the police department. After bribing the Grove Ltd store not long ago, my client was caught up in a string of illicit activities. Unbeknownst to Giuseppe, his co-workers, who had been working in the business prior to his purchase, had been hurdling drugs through the till. My client had no knowledge of this, as his job within the business was to deal with the finances and ensure that the business had been running successfully. According to the officer's statement in case 46 narrative, a gentleman in a monkey costume had actually bought the drugs and handed it over to the officer. No evidence had been provided that it was my client who had actually sold the drugs, and no money had been found in evidence. Surely, if there was any drugs sold, money would have been taken in as evidence. The only evidence that my client had actually been involved was fingerprints on the boxes. This, however, I must say, does not provide sufficient evidence. My client has simply been moving the boxes off his desk in the back office so that he could access the computer underneath it. The boxes had been sealed, and there was little knowledge of what was in the boxes. This was mentioned by one of the officers in the narrative who had to peek inside one of the boxes and open them up to see what was in it. The police department also wished to use the evidence that while a SWAT raid was taking place on Grove Street, that my client was moving boxes. This was quite frankly a swift attempt to place blame on my client. The narrative had already explained the fact there was insignificant evidence to search any houses on the street, and at no point in this entire case was my client seen or handling cocaine. This is a far-fetched attempt to pin an ever-growing problem in the city on my client. Grove Street has been well known for many years now as a place for illicit activities. My client has grown up there and has little intent to move and has little means to. Location does not decide whether a man is guilty or innocent. The boxes at the time were deemed to be similar to the ones that were in the back of his business, but these are the boxes that are provided to his company as imports, such as crisps, snacks, and similar products. These were not boxes of cocaine, and there is no evidence to prove so. The prosecution have expressed concern with Josephi, mentioning he would do anything in power to defend his store. Emphasis on anything in his power. My client uses the constitutional right to defend his property and wishes to let everyone know that he will stick within these rights when his store does come under threat. That concludes the defense on case 46. If you can open up to case 59 for me. Let me know when you got that open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Brilliant. So, my client would like to plead guilty to accessory murder, the kidnapping, and felony evasion. However, he would like to plead innocent to the murder of Chad Jones. In the charges that he plead guilty, he asks that the court sees my client as a man of great stress and pain. As proven in case 46, the previous months have been very difficult with him. He'd been pressured by the police department over the last couple of months and felt immense stress. The drug peddlers that were working within his building had used the stress against him and blackmailed him, furthermore, threatening his life to support them in their activities. He did not have full control over his actions and has deep regret for what has happened. He would like to plead innocent to the murder of Chad Jones, where he does admit to the burning of the body, which is under the desecrating a corpse charge. He was not the one who had fired the shot and killed Chad. So, the charges he's pleading guilty here is kidnapping and taking a hostage, felony evasion, desecrating a corpse, and the accessory to murder, but he's pleading innocent to the murder of Chad Jones. Are you able to open up Warrant 1 for me? You know when you got that open? It's believed that the filing officer has since been involved in the incident and no further statement has been made. This makes it impossible to stick with such charges with any evidence to back it. That concludes Warrant 1. Can you open up Warrant 2 for me?
Yep.
Yep.
My client would like to plead guilty to the following charges: felony evasion, murder in LEO ×2, and the possession of firearm. But yet again, he wishes to ask the court to take in mind what had previously happened in case 46. After case 46, he'd been threatened by many other members of the gang that were peddling drugs to support them with their claims. As the owner of the store, he had no reason and no knowledge of the previous activities, but once he had bought it and found out about the heinous illegal activities that had been going on, he'd been pressured to follow them in risk of his life. He lived on the same street as these thieves, these criminals, and these members of the public who, quite frankly, shouldn't be out there, and they should be the ones in this room. And he'd been forced to do such activities, but he wishes to plead guilty with you guys taking that into retrospect. That concludes Warrant 2. Can you open up Warrant 3 for me?
I haven't been in the city for a few days, and I completely forgot about it. That's the honest truth. I'll do that now.
Yep.
Warrant 3 shows my client in a stressful situation. After multiple months of him getting involved with robberies, his store was finally robbed by a gentleman who sadly has passed away. At the time, Mr. Officer Griffin had showed up. However, it was believed that there was a significant understaffing from the police department at this point, and they weren't able to give sufficient protection to my client. We would like to plead guilty to the vehicular assault and the reckless driving. However, we wish to plead innocent to vehicular murder. At no point did he kill anyone with his vehicle. This was shown in the video that you'd watched earlier during the prosecution statement. We'd also like to take into account that my client had taken any attempt he had to protect his store. He was very stressed, and the gentleman had come in with weaponry and threatened him. He had many interactions with the police, with very few willing to help him or provide protection to him and his goods. He admits his wrongdoings, but the police have to follow the oaths they read to you this morning. I urge you to have the police department have treated this man and how they failed to protect your everyday business owner. We would also like to note the officer laughing when the assailant was run over by Mr. Giuseppe, while also he made remarks, Giuseppe will probably get him before we do. The police department have constantly referred to their oaths, but it seems that they themselves have failed to adhere to. That concludes Warrant 3. Can you open up Warrant 4 for me?
Yep.
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 So the charges in Warrant 4 are the following: felony evasion, possession of an illegal firearm, attempted murder, and grand theft auto. My client would like to plead innocent to all the charges. There is yet again, like Warrant 1, a distinct lack of evidence, and there is zero support to the department's claims. That concludes Warrant 4. We'd like you guys to now open the premeditated murder charges about the two reporters.
Go to the clothes shop and get changed.
I'm gonna go grab the burgers. Wait, you're not even talking to me.
Fuck! Uber Eats cancelled bastard order! Can we
They cancelled it?
The fucking... Hey, you! Fucking get up, you motherfucking bastard! Get off the burgers! You, they're mine.
You knocked them all up. Oh no.
Run! Run!
I'm in court.
I just came outside, mate.
Okay, it's time to go back in.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
I'm ready.
Have you been searched?
Now, do you want to search me?
Yeah.
Recess is over. If you can go tell them outside.
There are really no windows.
Yeah. I've got nothing on me, Sergeant. Would you like a minstrel?
Pardon?
Hey, George. You're like a nice guy.
I need one.
You want a minstrel? I bet you fucking do.
Oh yeah. My head hurts. I'm boiling
Have
hot.
some candy. You got some rock pops? I've got, yeah.
I mean, Prime. I'm just
Mr. Prime for you.
Mr. Prime. Look, let's give you an example of what I'm doing.
Judge. Quick question. Did I overhear that the prosecution wanted to use the remainder of their time?
Wow.
You poor bastard.
After you, they want to
Frank
use
just
free- I
sent me a
gave them
DM
3
and all
minutes.
stuff he's going to go through.
With the 5 minutes left.
Sure, they should be in the closing.
Who's got the phone on him?
Is going to be in response to what I said. That's part of their closing statements. It's not part of new. That's not previous.
We'll put it in the closing statements. Sustained. I'll leave it for closing statements.
Thank you.
I'll bring it up before we start with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Toggles here.
So can you not touch that, please?
Lemon, do you want to sit? Harry, do you want to sit in this one?
What, in that one?
Yeah,
I was
'cause-
like,
By Prime.
Yeah.
Look at your emails.
Fuck's sake.
Well, make sure you hit
Oh, so
record.
sticky.
I was gonna make sure you guys.
That's rough. That's your problem. Don't touch the sticky stuff.
Can you get like? Have you got any?
Did he say?
It's melted Mars bar. Look, Harry looks like he shit his pants.
Can I help you, Mr. Wolfenstein? No, I do not, Mr. Wolfenstein. Only
Asking for a French towel. He knows what they are.
Right. Before we start real quick, I'd like to make a statement for prosecution. The 3 minutes demanded of argumentative, are they going to be used to counter whatever Mr. Wolfenstein is saying?
I would like to rebut something that Mr. Wolfenstein has discussed in his testimony.
Then I will not accord you the 3 minutes, and you'll use that time during your closing statement to any counter arguments against Mr. Wolfenstein, as that is not the purpose of those 20 minutes provided to you.
Understood.
You will be using that whatever you want to say there will be used during your closing statement. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Mr. Wolfenstein, you may continue. You have 10 minutes left. Okay.
Okay, and can I confirm that the last thing you heard was...
let me tell you what I wrote down last. You were talking about vehicle I can't fucking speak. Murder charge against Giuseppe and the reporters and that part.
And did you hear about my comments about what the officers had said during the video or not?
No, I did not hear that.
Okay. So I
We'll
will
resume from there, and we
resume
are
from there.
starting now.
So, as you've heard, I've pleaded innocent to vehicular murder, as at no point you'd kill anyone with the vehicle. But to the charges you pleaded guilty to, we would like the court to take into account the fact that my client was making attempts to protect the store. Giuseppe had had many countless interactions with the police, with very few members of the department willing to help him or provide protection to him and his goods. He admits his wrongdoings, but when police have failed to follow the oaths that they have read to you this morning, I urge you to think of how the department has failed to treat this man correctly and how they failed to protect your everyday business owner. We would also like to make note to the officer laughing at the end of the video when the assailant was run over by Mr. Giuseppe, and also had making the marks, Giuseppe will probably get him before we do, referring to the fact that Giuseppe would probably kill him before the police department would kill him. The police department have constantly referred to their oaths being upheld, however, it seems that they rarely themselves have adhered to it. That concludes Warrant 3. If we can now open up Warrant 4. Has everyone got Warrant 4 ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the charges in Warrant 4 are felony evading, possession of an illegal firearm, attempted murder, and grand theft auto. My client, much like Warrant 1, would like to plead innocent to this. There is a distinct lack of evidence and there is zero support to the department's claims. That concludes Warrant 4. Are you able to open up the report for the 2 premeditated murders of the reporters?
Yep.
Yeah.
Real, thank you. So, the person that was recording the video was not my client, nor was he affiliated with him. This was a member of the gang that is quite often seen on Grey Street, but he is not a member of it. My client found the video online and had the belief that the video was indeed fake, as a thought of a camera crew live stream a gun deal would be impossible. He had made the comments online with no intent to harm and used the free will that this country is allowed, and he had no reason to follow out such actions. The state here is trying to blame my client from the man in the video who was clearly the aggressor and the one more likely in the case to do the heinous crime. The bodies, there is no evidence of the bodies being found, any autopsies, or my client being guilty of committing any such acts. All it is artificial comments made online with no relations to the actual video. That concludes the premeditated murder charges. The court have also, the prosecutors have also brought up another charge for the solicitation of illegal firearms and drug paraphernalia. My client has not had any evidence proven to him. Nothing has been brought up in previous cases or previous warrants. This charge is being added for no reason, with little evidence to back it, and I would hope that you look on this with little regard to what the prosecution has on it, as there is nothing to back their claims. Thank you very much. That concludes my statements.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your arguments. Right.
No.
The court asked Mrs. Riley Danvers to come forward. Right. If you may please sit to my left for questioning. Mrs. Danvers, I need you to confirm under oath that you will say nothing but the truth of all the questions provided to you.
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. You may take a seat. Right, we will start with prosecution asking questions to Mrs. Danvers. And if you may, Mrs. Danvers, can you just explain who you are? Actually, prosecution can ask you questions if you wish about that.
Of course. How much time do I have?
That will take on your time. Let me just double check how much time you've got. You have got 10 minutes of questioning the witness, okay?
Understood.
This also includes questioning about her background. I don't mind my burgers. Her background and any other type of question of identification, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you may start now.
All right, what is your name?
My name is Riley Danvers.
And you're fully aware of what you're about to do.
Please make sure you're
Yes, I
speaking
am.
loudly, Mrs. Danvers. You may climb
Yes, I'm
over.
fully aware.
Maybe you may climb over like the stand in that part where the microphone is. If you know what I mean. The chair is very rough, but you know, if you can like climb over to stand here, this part here.
The reason you're here today is has been made, or the decision you made to be here today has been made under no coercion or manipulation or other external forces, have you?
A good solid 2 to 3 months.
Okay. Regarding case number 46, with the boxes and all that, there was a day in February in which there was a raid on Grove Street. You said you were present for this raid, were you not?
Yes, I was present.
And what was Giuseppe doing on the morning of the raid before the police officers arrived on scene?
He was preparing for something to go down.
And do you have any idea what tipped him off ahead of time?
I do not know what tipped him off, but I do know that he was preparing his gang and for what I believe is an assault.
In our reports, we observed Giuseppe moving boxes in and out of a truck between houses during the raid preparation. You yourself also said that you were doing something similar, moving boxes and supplies in and out of a white box truck that you rented from Midnight Trucking Company. Do you want to elaborate on what you were doing?
Yes. In the process of things, without the knowledge of Mr. Giuseppe Krakowski, switched the shipment from his to a fresh batch from mine in order to cover my tracks and prevent him from being, quote unquote, a part of the drug dealing.
You said that Giuseppe himself had a shipment and you yourself had one, and you swapped the two of them.
I may just pause you for a second. Defense, you do know, just in case, you are still allowed to object against anything, okay?
I am, I'm aware.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, may
What were
continue.
the contents of those shipments that both of you had before the swap?
We both had cocaine.
You both had cocaine. Why was it important that your cocaine was in his truck and vice versa?
So that his DNA and anything linking him to the cocaine would not be found by the police department.
And you relocated this truck with the cocaine that had his DNA on it, correct?
Yes, I did.
And where did you put this truck?
In a warehouse of my own.
And this warehouse was 10117, correct?
Yes.
And this warehouse was raided by police a few months later.
Yes.
And that truck was discovered, and all the DNA was intact.
Yes.
Okay. During your time as Giuseppe's supplier, you protected yourself against any blackmail by recording your interactions and taking pictures of the things he did while he was conducting business dealings with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And all of those photos and files and tweets and messages were stored on a laptop that belonged to you and you alone, right?
Yes.
And this laptop was recovered in the raid of 10117, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I'd like the previous couple of questions striked for being leading in this situation.
Leading in what way?
All the questions have been yes or no questions. There's been nothing that she can describe or anything. It's all been evidence that he's already got in evidence provided to the jury.
It's fine. Describe the pictures and the videos that are on the laptop without looking at them yourself.
Stand a second. I'll sustain the objection against the previous questions. They're striked from the testimony. Jury, you are not to take into consideration the last few questions.
Understood. What kind of interactions did you record and document with Giuseppe that are, immortalized on a digital file?
I took video recording, pictures, and text messages, and all forms of electronic recordings of my business deals with Giuseppe, buying and selling drugs from me and my companion, as well as on the day of the raid, I sent text messages informing Mr. Giuseppe that he was in the clear, that I had taken care of everything as averse to the shipment, that I had made sure that it was switched, and he would not be a person of interest. Me and my friends, the day of the raid, also ran interference for him so that he would not be caught by law enforcement.
Understood. How much money did Giuseppe provide to you as a client throughout your dealings?
Objection, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I don't see this as any relevance to the case.
And we can translate that into
the amount that the individual provided during this exact not at all provide. How is it a monthly? I don't see how it's monthly at all.
How many weapons he was moving per month? How much drugs he was taking in and out of that house?
Still,
that wasn't the
I
question.
I agree to the objection. We'll sustain it.
Okay.
So you can provide a different form, same question that does not involve the exact, like, how much did he get paid for it?
How many of all your clients in the city, Giuseppe was one of your biggest ones, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Biggest one.
Go ahead.
That's a leading question again. It's a yes or no question. There's nothing for him to discuss there.
Sustained. Also, I'd like to say the moment there's an objection, please stop speaking. Let the parties speak. I'll sustain the objection. You can still ask the same question under a different format that isn't leading if you wish. Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Sorry, I'm drawing
Okay,
a blank.
you have 2 minutes left if you wish.
I'll blow 90 seconds of that on this one question.
It's okay. If you do organize yourself as you wish.
What types of drugs and weapons did you provide Giuseppe during your business dealings?
I provided drugs and guns in the form of AK-47s, combat pistols, cocaine, and various other drugs, in a total of $83 million, and much more. Cash was the only form of payment we were ever given, and it was a lot. It was almost weekly. On the weekly basis, we were meeting.
Did Giuseppe ever determine, did he ever disclose to you whether the drugs and the weapons were for personal use for his gang or if they were for redistribution to smaller groups and buyers?
Both. They were indeed for his own personal use, and they were indeed to sell to the citizens of Los Santos, and they were used in very many crimes, including against me myself.
Okay. How much time do I have left?
40 seconds.
If you go to page 74 of the evidence file and then go to 74.9 red laptop and you look at the top row of pictures, is that indeed you in the pictures?
Yes, it is indeed.
Is that Giuseppe in the pictures?
Yes, it is.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Right, now we'll be going on 10 minutes from the defense questioning Mrs. Riley Danvers. You may start now. Same thing for, wait, let me just pause that.
Your day's going well. I've got a few questions for you here today.
Of course.
Is it correct that when the prosecution here approached you, that you had previously and were currently being accused of several crimes, including harming and torturing on multiple people?
Yes, they did approach me after I was arrested after being on the run for a month.
I want to make it known to the jury that possibly the prosecution had mentioned Giuseppe's name, and Miss Riley here would find it easy to dob in someone that she might have had very minimal affiliation with and give false information to lessify a sentence.
I'm going to stop you right there. As I said, you are not. That is not to be said to the jury.
Sorry about that.
The witness is under oath, so you are not to say. You're not to directly talk to the jury in that way. Either provide that kind of information, as that is speculative.
I'm sorry about that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
What weapons? And
We'll be
drugs
striking
did
that last statement. By the way.
What weapons or drugs did you supposedly provide to Giuseppe?
I provided AKs, combat pistols, and I provided cocaine drugs and various other drugs.
And why did you decide to work with the prosecutors in this case?
Because I'm facing life in prison. And in exchange for my testimony, I said that I would freely give it in exchange for time off of my sentence. I am fully well aware that I am still going to prison.
When dealing with Giuseppe, did he ever explain his uses for the drugs and weaponry you sold him?
He may not at the time of buying them, but as I said before, I know personally the reason why, as I have been a victim of his before.
Danvers, Mrs. Danvers, if you can just stay to answering the questions that are asked to you and not argumented them further.
Of course.
You're not questioned about it. Do not provide arguments beyond what you're asked.
Of course, Your Honor.
When dealing with Giuseppe, who did you distribute to? Did you distribute it directly to Giuseppe, or were there several others that picked up on his behalf?
I provided both drugs and guns to Giuseppe's associates and to Mr. Giuseppe himself.
And when dealing with Giuseppe, did he have any uncharacteristic attitudes? Did he seem mentally unstable or anything like that?
No, he did not, sir. He was well aware. Been gloated many times.
That's all my questions, Your Honor.
That's all your questions. Okay, sure. You had 7 minutes left. Okay, well...
Yeah, I wasn't advised on Miss Danvers being here today.
I did inform you just beforehand that Miss Danvers was going to be here.
Yeah, as in, I wasn't advised previously before today, so I was given minimal time. But
It's not necessarily a requirement, but, you know, regardless
I'm
of
aware of
your
that.
client not being here, you know, when he was supposed to.
Your Honor,
that's got nothing
Questions
to
brought
do
up
with
for
this, Your
questioning
Honor.
as well. Yes, yes, prosecution?
What was the importance of the defense bringing up the fact that Riley had tortured people? That was not related to anything.
No, but you didn't object to it either, so it will be kept in.
I understand.
Regardless. You could have objected to it at the time. Right, so we are moving on to closing statements. There will be 10 minutes, so hopefully we'll be here for 25, 30 more minutes. So, prosecution, you'll have 10 minutes. Mrs. Danvers, you can go back now to...
Your Honor, can I suggest a 5-minute recess to make any altercations to our closing statements?
Yeah, you can make 5
Thank
minutes
you.
recess, granted. So you'll have 5 minutes break. Be back by 37, please. Thank you. Leave its contents, please. Thanks.
Hey, Lemon, you played F1
Are you ready
lately?
to take like 5 minutes of that
Too
opening
much.
of the closing statement, or do you want me to?
Too much. I'm going to quickly change this closing statement.
You
for
do
1
you,
second.
mate. I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah, let me get this all finished up.
We'll start immediately. Prosecution, you can start now. You have 10 minutes. You may not object to anything the parties have to say, by the way, if that goes to both. Starting now.
Okay. As we review the evidence that we've been presented with today, I would like to point out a few things that were brought up against me earlier that I would just like to address and expand upon further. Number one was the allegation of blackmail and the lack of awareness and self-control over what his client was even doing in the first place. We'd like to rebut this statement, saying the defense claims that Giuseppe does plead guilty to several of the crimes, but not all of them. They're saying that he did that out of fear and out of stress.
Objection, Your
and that
Honor.
those are not indicative of him as a person.
What is it, Mr.? I told you couldn't really object here.
Oh, I thought you meant objections in real time.
Mr. Wolfenstein, what is it?
Didn't you beforehand say you couldn't object to my previous statements in the closing, or did I get that wrong? Sorry, I might have misheard you.
You can't object to anything here to retract
Oh,
from,
okay.
but
Yeah, I got the
there's no
wrong way around. Sorry
objections
about
during
that.
closing statements. No worries.
Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry.
I thought you meant he
I
can't
got
call
confused.
me out while
No,
I'm
no,
talking.
there's no objections or anything here. It's closing. You should have done that during witness or arguments of times. Okay.
Understood.
Sounds good.
I'd like to summarize what we've seen here in court today. We've been presented with the story of a man who has a lot of things going on, from possession of drugs to vehicular assault and attempted vehicular murder of suspects, taking matters into his own hands with extreme prejudice and signs of vigilantism at some times. He's participated in the murder and the burning of a body of an innocent man, and he openly admitted on the internet, of all places, to murdering 2 reporters in cold blood. Evidence connecting him to drugs and weapon distribution across the city has been found and documented by a noteworthy drug dealer who has decided to come forward. You go over case 46 again, you'll see that his fingerprints were on the boxes, and yes, that might be true. It's not unrealistic to think that his fingerprints would not, it's not unrealistic to think that his fingerprints would be on something that in an area that he owns and operates out of. However, the further evidence recovered from the laptop at case 74 expands upon this and proves that he has been documented on photo and video buying and collecting drugs in his possession. There's no arguing that he is a dangerous person and that the crimes he has committed are in direct contradiction to the sworn oath he took as a police officer upon joining the force. He acts with recklessness and a sense of impulsiveness. Instead of letting the police take matters into their own hands and arrest the suspect that robbed his store safely and peacefully, even though he was driving a very slow vehicle, he decided to crash into the vehicle multiple times, endangering himself, drivers on the road, and the suspect inside of the slow-moving vehicle. He then attempted to fire his gun and discharge it multiple times at the suspect, even as the police were closing in on him to make an arrest and safely collect him and remove him from the scene. We saw that he has no remorse for his actions, choosing to run and hang with murderers and people who torture and kidnap people. He was described as a victim, he was described by the victim, Jake Lopez, as torturing him and beating him, locking him in a warehouse and leaving him there while they ran away. And he poured gasoline over a dead body and lit it on fire in the middle of a public space at nighttime. Think about the characteristics of somebody who does that. Are they really in control of their actions? Of course they are. The 2 reporters that went on to record an arms deal going on at Grove Street, who mistakenly outed the knowledge that this recording existed before they were able to publish it, did bring about some unwarranted violence, but it's violence nonetheless. You can see in the case about murdering the 2 reporters that Giuseppe tweeted, "Whatever happens next, you are a dead man, and along with your cameraman with a nice suit." These tweets were posted within 15 minutes of the reported shooting at the reporter's home. I implore you again to review the pictures that were found on the red laptop recovered from case 74, as there is no better evidence than a picture or a video. Words can be spun, twisted, but photos can rarely be faked, and they were verified before entering this courtroom today. I ask you to take into consideration the actions of this man, regardless of intent or motive. The millions of dollars that he spent and gained distributing drugs throughout the city, as well as weapons that made our streets a more dangerous place. And one more thing, I want to remind you that he did all of this while serving as a police officer, tarnishing the badge and discrediting the jobs of hundreds of do-gooding people in the city. He abused his power, and he did not care for the lives of the city. That's all my time.
Okay, perfect. Right, we'll end it there. Defense, you may now. Defense.
Alrighty.
Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. The failure to provide evidence for the charges being pressed on Mr. Giuseppe. There have also been several charges that seem to come out of thin air with little to no reason behind it, in reference mainly towards the solicitation of illegal firearms and drug paraphernalia, and the vehicular murder. I believe that Mr. Krakowski has been used as a scapegoat to place most cases against him within the Grove Street area to arrest it, allowing the LSPD to meet his criteria and put a face to their crimes, whether it's a right face or not. My client has admitted to several wrongdoings here, but there is a time where the city should also do the same. When making your decisions, I request that you take into account what's been said here today, and have a good read of all the information provided in the documents. Only upon close inspection will you see the multiple holes within this case. Overall, my client pleads guilty to the following charges: felony evasion, possession of a illegal firearm, murder of an LEO ×2, kidnapping, accessory to murder, another felony evasion, vehicular assault, and reckless driving. We plead innocent to all remaining charges. Now, a few points I have about today. The witness that's spoken to you here today has a motive to support the prosecutor's claim. Upon further inspection of the notes around her arrest, which you have evidence of within your drive, and while all the statements she made were true, she also had little reason to speak of the good side of Mr. Giuseppe. She was promised a reduced sentence if she worked alongside the prosecutors to bring justice to Mr. Giuseppe. So, withholding the good information about Mr. Giuseppe, it might reduce her sentence, as releasing this and going against the prosecutor's case might leave her with a longer sentence, as the length of the sentence was in verbal and is not at a set time. It is clearly the case. I ask that you see this as a case of a government that can't uphold its own values and are willing to take it out on the small man. A man who is set to fail from the word go. Living on the streets of Grove Street with little to move into a better life. No education and no support from the government. On the account of evasion during the police raid that was happening on a neighbouring house, my client would say that he had little knowledge of the raid, and the raid was on another house, not his. So what was there for him to run from? The officers had claimed that he'd run and was pressing these charges due to him having prior information about the raid and the fact that he had not evaded at the time but previously. The officers claim that he'd run due to knowledge that the raid was going on is far-fetched and brings little sense. This is not a viable charge. The deaths of the reporters have had no evidence around the deaths brought to you, and is all the speculation over a tweet in a country where there is no restriction on speech. I advise you to deeply look into this case and look at the evidence provided. While Mr. Giuseppe was a police officer at the times of these incidents, at no point did he abuse his power. He was not on duty, and he never represented the Los Santos Police Department. This should not be brought into any aspect of the charges being placed on him today, and is quite frankly a wild excuse as painting him in a bad image. To the jury, I hope you really do look at all the evidence that's been provided to you today, and you take information said to you by both myself and the prosecution here. I understand that Mr. Krakowski isn't a perfect man, and I'm sure you do as well. But do understand that this was a man that was put under an immense amount of pressure. Sorry, Mr. Judge, you seem to have emailed me?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, sorry, you confused me for a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, as I said, please take into account everything that's happened here when you make your decisions today. The government need to realise its mistakes, and the police department really need to focus on what's right for them and right for the future. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Right, and that concludes closing arguments from both parties. Right, now I'm going to be explaining a series of questions that the jury will need to answer for prosecution and defense. Let me just send them to all parties involved, and I'll also put this in the general, the event place of the website, if you know what I mean. Convince jury. Number 2, did prosecution's video from the body cam do favor to the state party? Did prosecution's evidence regarding Giuseppe kidnapping and torturing help state's party during this case? Did prosecution's evidence, again, don't mind the typos, that Giuseppe acquired weapons? Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe acquired weapons from Riley Danvers? Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe acquired drugs from Riley Danvers and tried to destroy evidence that he did so? Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe purchased these weapons to sell them illegally and keep them also for himself? Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe broke his oath as a police officer? Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe's actions damaged the image of the police department? That's the questions for the prosecution's party. If all 8 of them are answered with a yes, the prosecution's party will win this court case. And if partially they are answered yes, there will be some monetary gain also given to the defense in that case if some of those questions are responded no, and that they did not convince you of their statements.
Your Honor, can we quickly chat with the prosecution and yourself about these new charges?
Come forward to the bench. You come here, please. Come up, both of you forward. It's convinced that the charges against Giuseppe are false and that the evidence isn't valid in case 46. Did defense convince that the crimes committed by Giuseppe are due to stress and pain, potential mental illness in case 49? Did defense convince that Giuseppe's plea of innocence to the murder of Chad Jones is valid on case 49? Did defense convince that the vehicular murder charge against Giuseppe is false on Warrant 3? Did defense convince that Giuseppe was just wanting to provide the LCD store? Right, that question is to the one where it says provide the LCD store. It's to protect the LCD store. That's my bad. Did defense convince that the police department failed to respect their oath for Giuseppe regards to the store? Did defense convince that Warrant 4 lacks evidence to charge Giuseppe? Did defense convince that Giuseppe did not break his oath as a police officer? These are the questions that defense must get yes to all of them to win this court case, or partially yes to get some damage gains that the jury will determine. And now I'm going to go over the demands of both parties to the jury that they will then determine they're valid or not, and what is the monetary damage to each party. Right, let me check them. The charges by the police department are drug with intent to supply times 15, evading or arrest, felony evasion, store robberies times 2, felony evasion, murder of LEO times 2, possession of illegal firearm, felony evasion, possession of an illegal firearm again, attempted murder, grand theft auto, vehicular assault, vehicular murder, reckless driving, accessory to murder, murder of Chad Jones, which is one of the questions asked to answer, kidnapping, taking hostage, felony evasion, desecrating a corpse. I'll not read the rest of that. Premeditated murder times 2, solicitation of illegal firearm and drug paraphernalia. Yeah, original. That's the original list, right? Demands of state are the removal of Mr. Giuseppe from the police department, the arrest of Mr. Giuseppe and jail sentence, and also monetary damages that the jury is to determine how much damage, if obviously guilty of so, Giuseppe owes to the police department. The demands of the defense is monetary compensation for loss of business, regards to the store, monetary compensation for stress caused by the police department, monetary compensation for further damaging Giuseppe's image and his business, which will be determined by the jury if this is valid. Right, may the jury follow me to the back room. We'll be back at 10 past for the verdict. So you all may go outside. You may not talk about the court case. Be back at 5 past, and 5 minutes after you'll have the verdict. The jury has come to a deliberation.
Finally.
Right, so I'm going to be reading through the questions that they've deemed yes and no, and then I'll be going through the damages and compensation from each party. Right, so, for the first question, did prosecution's evidence of Giuseppe developing a drug business in the city illegally under the status of police officer convince the jury? True. Did the prosecution's video from the body cam favor the state's party? True. Did the prosecution's evidence provided regarding Giuseppe kidnapping and torturing help the state's party during this case? True. Did prosecution's evidence convince that Giuseppe acquired weapons from Riley Danvers? True. Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe acquired drugs from Riley Danvers and tried to destroy the evidence? True. Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe purchased these weapons from Riley Danvers to sell them illegally as a police officer and keep them from himself? True. Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe broke his oath as a police officer? True. Did prosecution convince that Giuseppe's actions damaged the image of the police department? True. That is it for prosecution. Now we're going to go on to the defense side. Also, regards to prosecution, that value in damages are up to $19 million in demands that will be provided, that Giuseppe will need to provide to the police department. Now going to the defense. Did Giuseppe convince that the charges against Giuseppe did defense convince that the charges against Giuseppe are false and that the evidence isn't valid regards to case 46? False. Did the defense convince that the crimes committed by Giuseppe are due to stress and pain or potential mental illness regards to case 49? False. Did the defense convince that Giuseppe's plea of innocence to the murder of Chad Jones is valid on case 49? True. Did defense convince that the vehicular murder charge against Giuseppe is false on Warrant 3? True. Did defense convince that Giuseppe was just wanting to provide the protect the LCD store he owns in Grove Street? False. Did the defense convince that the police department failed to respect their oath to protect Giuseppe in regards to the store? True. Did defense convince that the warrant 4 lacks evidence to charge Giuseppe? True. Did defense convince that Giuseppe did not break his oath as a police officer? False. Did, and question number 9, because there was a 9th one I forgot to write down earlier, did defense convince that Giuseppe did not abuse his power as a police officer? False. Compensation to be given to Giuseppe Krakowski in regards to these are of $1 million. Court fees regards to the entire case of the $19 million is to be $10 million, meaning $9 million is to be given to the police department. And regards to the $1 million that Giuseppe is owed, it'll be reduced to $8 million to make it easier. And this concludes the court case of the state versus Giuseppe Krakowski. I thank you all for coming. I thank both parties for participating. Thank you, prosecution, for really good arguments. Thank you, defense, for trying to defend as well as you could. Giuseppe Krakowski, who is not present here today. And thank you to jury for a long amount of your time and efforts for the deliberation that you've given today. Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. And yoo-hoo, yay, woo, it's a little
wait, hold on, no, not woo.
Yeah, woo,
like,
we win!
The prosecution to follow me to the back room. Jury, may you remain here. You will be compensated for your time.
I've got a question.
Hi.
Yeah.
Why do I get paid?
Job's you as well.
You're not paid. You asked Lemon for your pay. You're his employee.
You got paid in burgers and Coke.
Can you guys go to the back room? You guys go to the back room. I'm going to be taking care of these guys. You guys are being compensated. You guys are being compensated.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, next time we see each other, it'll be on nicer terms, right?
Fuck you.
Thank you. Take her in a squad car.